Morning, guys. How we doing? First of all, I just want to, first off, obviously congratulate our basketball program on reaching the Sweet 16 again. And tremendous job, I guess, by Coach Izzo and the entire basketball team. And really, when I looked at, I saw a tweet yesterday that said that we were the only NCAA institution that had been in the Sweet 16 4 straight times, and also won our last 4 bowl games as well. Pretty amazing what's being done here, not just in basketball and football, but in all sports. So just wanted to, again, congratulate everybody involved. Spring ball is to me, it's a time for growth. It's an opportunity to get 3% better on every practice. We've got 15 practices, so we'll do the math on that, but we've always tried to do that. We've got a foundation, I feel, or we feel really right now. We have a very strong foundation. We need to be able to build on that foundation as we be able to move forward. And the reality is that the expectations here are very, very high, and they should be. And that's where we start with. Really what we've been able to do since our bowl game, since the Cotton Bowl, is obviously hire a new coach, Coach Snyder, revamp things in terms of who's coaching what and different things of that nature. But get him on board, critiqued what we've done. We've certainly worked extremely hard conditioning our players and gaining strength. So player development physically, player development mentally as well. And we've trained extremely hard on that. We've really worked on our entire program, including the leadership aspect. I think every time a new season comes around, you've got new leaders. They've got to have great years. They've got to be able to build a foundation for themselves as well. So that's been something we've worked on very, very hard. Our goal, very quickly, our goals in the spring, find the best 11, whether that's the best 11 on punt, kickoff, defense, offense, nickel, different personnel groupings, whatever it is. Obviously, we want to experiment with positions, player by positions, and then also experiment conceptually as well. Want to go through and maintain our health physically. And then I think also, our mental health is just as important. You've got to train yourself as champions. You've got to expect yourself to do certain things as you move through the process, and it's all a part of it. So we've got to be able to train ourselves mentally as well. Find out who our leaders are, attack our areas of concern, which we have some. Obviously, every football team has those. And then, really reach a little higher as we go. I think we're here to stay. I think that's very important as we move forward here, but continue to reach higher. Want to bring 50 as we move forward, and we will have our first annual student-athlete clinic. We'll actually do it 2 times, and we will do it this coming Saturday afternoon. The last 45 minutes of our spring drills, and then carry over and have a little clinic for our students. And that's open to our student population. Could be an MSU student to do that, but I just thought to interact with them a little bit, like we do our youth campers, and to build a little bit of a personal one-on-one relationship with our students, I think would be exciting for everybody involved. So we are going to do that as well. So I'll take some questions, and we'll go from there.
Mark McGarrett's not listed on the depth chart. Is he suspended for spring, or where does he stand?
I'm going to talk about the guys really on our depth chart right now, and anybody not on the depth chart really is sort of in limbo. And I guess that's the best way to say it right now. And we're day to day on a lot of guys.
Following up on that, Mark, is Dalton suspended for the entirety of the spring then?
Well, that would be a follow-up question. So we're going to talk about these guys right here. I've made issued a statement on that, and we'll just stand by that statement. Oh, we got another one? That's awesome.
You mentioned every team has its areas of concern. What are your areas of concern for this spring?
Well, first, you got to look at who we lost. I think we lost a great tailback, 2 great tailbacks, actually. So, it's time for new guys to rise up. We have 2 guys that basically will be redshirt sophomores, Gerald Holmes and Madre London. And then also Gerald Owens is involved in that as well, and he's a redshirt freshman. So tailback's an issue. We got good players there. I think that we're going to find out a little bit more about our guys as we move forward. Wide receivers, we've lost 2 very good players, and I think we have players there, but we have to adapt and see who's going to step up in that area and really take over their areas of prominence, I guess I'd say. And then lost 2 good corners. And aside from that, I think we're pretty solid. We've got guys who've played football. Riley Bullock has played in there. He's played a lot of football for us, so he'll assume the position at Mike. John Reschke is also there. Very excited about Shane Jones and what he's been able to do thus far as well in terms of just his, he's coming along. So we'll see how he goes. But I think those are the areas. Actually, I think everybody else is pretty experienced. We're sort of established on the offensive line, the defensive line, our linebackers, our tight ends. We've got depth at wide receiver, but certainly our quarterback situation is solid, very, very solid.
Mark, a couple moves on defense. Lawrence Thomas to end, and then Cox to corner. Are those spring tryout things, or do you think those guys are going to be in those spots in the fall?
Well, Lawrence has played defensive end for us in the past, and he's a very good football player, and just felt like at this point in time, rather than bring a redshirt freshman in there and put him as the starter, or that we wanted to work LT there at defensive end. He goes about 285 right now, but he's very athletic and active. We've got depth at defensive tackle, so whether it be Damon Knox or Malik McDowell, whoever's in there, they're both starters, and so along with Joel Heath and then Shalik Calhoun gives us 5 guys I think that has played a lot of football for us up there, and we've got to roll our players. We also have some very good young players that need to get looks this spring. Craig Evans, David Beadle, Enoch Smith. So it's going to be exciting to watch those guys. And then, Montez Sweat's a guy at defensive end, and Cooper, Evan Jones as well. So we've got guys that we can play in there, but I think it's a good situation. And LT's played out there, and he's done a great job out there in the past. And then the other position was Day Demetrius Cox. He's played corner for us this past year and started a number of games, actually, I think, at corner. So we're just going to put our best football players on the field. R.J. Williamson, Monte Nicholson are both very good players as well. So basically going to have put our best players out there. Right now, Day would be the guy, along with Beyonce Copeland possibly, or certainly Darian Hicks is the guy that will go in there as a starter as well.
Coach?
Yeah.
Monty Medeiros is listed currently as a starting wide receiver. He didn't see a lot of time last year. Is he someone who's really progressed this offseason?
Yeah, he had I thought he had an outstanding fall camp. He's a guy that started to play a little bit in there, got into the top 6 last year. He's got great speed. He's got great ball awareness. He's a big-bodied guy, catches the ball down the field very well. So just felt like, based on his performance in bowl practice, that he would be the guy that would move up to that position. Just depends on really what personnel groupings we would be in. I think they listed three starting wide receivers, and remains to be seen if he's in there, if two wide receivers are in there.
Mark, the middle linebacker, obviously Riley's been playing there, but Reschke's a guy who hasn't really been able to stay healthy. Is that going to be the biggest key for him moving forward this morning?
John Reschke's a great football player. Coming in, he had an ankle situation when he was a true freshman, created a redshirt issue for him, and plus we had Max and a couple other players in there. Kyler, good player in there. But this year, shoulder late middle of the season, so we opted to get the surgery so he would be ready for spring. But he really has not had a history of that prior to it. It's a physical game. I think he's up in strength and weight. Very good football player. Riley obviously is as well, and I think we've got depth at that position. And he's a player. He's a football player, and he'll play for us. And they'll really go in there as sort of almost co-starters, probably 60-40 with Bulla having the nod there.
Yeah, just follow up on Reschke. Is he cleared for full contact, or is that going to be a limited type of?
He's cleared for contact initially. Full contact probably in about a week to 10 days. We'll just got to sort of work him through.
And then just to follow up, looking at your defensive line personnel, depth, size, some of these guys would appear qualified for a 3-man front. Is that one of the things you'll look at as a 3-4 this spring?
We'll look at a little bit of a 3-4, but I think that if you're going to get good at something, you really got to major in something. And we've been very good with our 4-3. We're not going to change something that's not broken, and that certainly is not broken. We were number one in the nation last year in run defense against the run, and we've got good players up there. But we can formulate three-man, a 3-4 look, but that just depends on how he goes. We can formulate it. It's in the package, but, we sort of adhere to the four-man front.
Mark, what has been done since the Cotton Bowl and will be done going forward to keep the edge and to prevent any kind of complacency from setting in with so much success?
Well, there's always going to be change. The physical change in facilities because of our administration's commitment to everything, and Bob Scandalaris again and other people, influential people. We're overhauling our locker room at the Duffy and the training room, so that's all new construction. That'll be done here. Excuse me, that'll be done here probably early June and July, those two things. As far as with our players, it's really, we sort of start at ground zero every year, and that's why we take our time to get into spring ball. We want to start at ground zero and see who's doing what, how's their weights, how's their strength gain, all these different things, critique what we've done, find out, are we really playing the best players based on the season before, critique what we've done, try and work out any issues, kinks, experiment with new things, sort of the goals that I talked about. But we've never been a complacent group of people. 16-1 in the Big Ten in the last 2 years. So if you go back and, we've done some very, very good things, and I think we're approaching some very high standards here, but there's still room to grow, and I think that's what we're trying to do, continue to grow. And as I said at this thing, we're here to stay, and I think that's something we've got to constantly say to our football team and preach to it, is that, you're going to be measured on what you do next. And there's basic expectations now from our players who have left and from, I think, Spartans in general, that we need to continue to raise our level of play.
Mark, when you've got a running back coming in the fall with pretty high expectations, how do you look at, I guess, the running back battle now with the guys that are here? Not that they won't be in the mix, but when you got other guys coming too.
Well, we've got a lot of good freshmen coming in a lot of different positions, especially skilled positions, I feel. And, usually as a freshman, you're going to play early at the skill positions. And so whether that's a wideout, whether that's a corner, got some guys coming there. And certainly L.J. Scott at tailback will be a guy that is going to be in the hunt. I think that's going to be – I sort of naturally assume that. He's a good enough player to come and play now. It looks like it on film. Once he gets here, we'll figure it all out. But sometimes players have a way of going this way or going that way after high school too. So it's important he comes in shape, and we'll see how he works.
You mentioned leadership right off the top. Having Connor and Shalik and a couple of the offensive linemen all come back, does that give you a leg up in developing that leadership this spring?
I think we have a senior class that probably has as much experience as we've had since we've been here. And I think there's some very, very good football players in there. When you look across, Jack Allen, just the offensive line, you talked about Donovan Clark. Jack is not, I think he's still got a year, but we've got experienced guys up there. But I think that, they have to lead. And that's the important. Just because you're becoming a senior doesn't mean you're necessarily going to lead. You have to be forced into those positions, and that sort of just turns. These guys were sophomores when we won the Rose Bowl, and now they have to assume a leadership position. I just think it's natural progression, but you have to work on it. They have to work on it.
You've talked a lot about Connor and Shalik coming back for obvious reasons, but quite frankly, Conklin's got the most press from NFL people about a guy who came back. How significant is it to get him back, considering in the logistics of the team?
Well, he's a great person. He's a very strong leader, and I think he's assuming that leadership role, and he still has another year after this. That's what's the beautiful thing about it. So, obviously, you have a left tackle back who's a projected all Big Ten player, all-American type guy, gives you a big upside. But I think just as importantly, the guy will work. He goes about things academically, socially. Everything that he does pretty well, in terms of the right type of person. So, having a guy back like that, I think is huge for us and demonstrates to other people that you can get it all. Just don't have to be a football player. You can have it all here.
Coach, looking at, I'm not going to tell you what's on the depth chart. You made it out, but Michael Geiger's not there.
Yeah.
Can you discuss the hip or the injury that he's had and when he'll be back?
Well, you're asking awful lot of questions about injuries, but no, Mike had a surgery, so he'll be out for the spring. He had sort of a hip flexor deal.
Mark speaks.
Yeah.
Mark, speaking of Shalik Calhoun, one of the reasons that he voiced when he took the podium to come back here was to possibly be a part of the team that won a national championship. Is that the clear goal here, the boisterous goal here, or is it too early to think about that?
I think you go with things in progression. You always have to take your goals, and you're building your goals as you go, and then you reevaluating your goals if you don't reach that. After the Ohio State game this past year, we just needed to win out and see what that did for us. But we didn't win a championship. So the first goal has to be to win this side of the Legends, which is as tough as there is in college football, really. This side of the conference is as tough as there is in college football. That's about my assumption. But a lot of good teams, a lot of very well-coached football teams. But with that being said, you just sort of leapfrog from there to the next step to the next step. And I think it's possible with what we've accomplished. We've got a name for ourselves a little bit. We've got some rankings, and I think you need those things to be able to push yourself over the edge. And we're up there now, so we've got a little bit of a podium, I guess I'd say, if that's the right word. But you've got a little bit of recognition. So what are you going to do with that? So I just feel like our football team, you're always trying to reach farther, reach higher, and we've got to reach a little further, and you're in a playoff game, and that would be the goal, to get in the playoff game. But to do that, you have to go through the progression.
Mark, over here, is it still possible for a program that has won 4 straight bowl games, that has had, 4 double-digit win seasons in the last 5 years, to still have a chip on its shoulder?
Yeah, all you got to do is read the paper every now and then. Right? Okay, absolutely. Okay, I believe that it's how you're built. If we're trying to be built for the long haul here. And as I said at the end of this thing, we're here to stay. And that's got to be a mindset, and you don't get there being happy with where you're at. You have to have some type of mindset where you're going to be challenged. And I understand we're going to be challenged.
And does it help that with all the attention that Ohio State has gotten for winning the national championship, and some other new coach got hired somewhere around this state? His name escapes me right now. But does that help, though, in focusing more attention on the fact that a lot of people still aren't giving this program the respect, if you will, you think it deserves?
I just feel like we're going to try and, after we were 13-1, we tried to refocus ourselves. We lost 2 games, so, we could have done better, but we lost 2 games. So I don't think that we went into the season expecting and taking it for granted that we were just going to throw our helmet out there. So I think you sort of sit there you teeter one way or the other. You want to be confident, but you can't be so confident that you take things for granted, and I think that's where we're at. We believe in hard work here. We're going to work extremely hard. We believe in toughness here, playing with great effort and understanding what we're doing and having knowledge about what we do. And that's brought us some positives. There's still some negatives out there. There's going to be negatives around every program, I think, that's out there. So, I don't know if I'm answering the question, Drew, but I'm trying. So,
back to the depth chart, Mark. Chris Fry, is he a Sam now moving forward? Is that the deal? And then with Harold, how are you going to split him up reps wise in the spring?
TJ will play some star backer, which is the backer, outside backer in space more times than not. He'll also play a little bit of tailback, and I think it fits into the depth chart. He was an excellent tailback in high school, and a 10'6", 300-meter guy. So we're going to work him in there and see what happens with that a little bit. So we'll have to play a little bit of both, and then at some point in time we're going to have to determine, is he here or is he here, and give him opportunities there. Chris Fry is a guy that's a football player, has demonstrated that. Sorry, guys, I got a cold a little bit. Has demonstrated that. He moves to the Sam backer, the money backer. I think that's probably better suited for him to play in a box a little bit more, but he has the ability to go outside and play. And we see so many different formations now, you got to be able to adjust out.
I guess it wouldn't be a press conference without asking about Damian Terry. The brass package, will we see some of that? And is there any chance he'll play some receiver? And then update on Drake Martinez? I
would say that that's what springs forward, to experiment on things. And, Damian is an excellent football player, as is Tyler O'Connor, and I think you'll see opportunities where we have two quarterbacks in playing at the same time. Now, we'll see. And then also, I also think the brass package is something that both of those guys can do. And really all three of them can do. And what was the second question? Oh, Drake Martinez, that's ongoing, but I think it's going in the right direction. And we just need to get closure on everything, all the data that's been, gotten.